This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV.
It's Thankful Thursday, a pause in the chaos to notice what still holds up, keeps us going, or surprised us this week in the best way. Gratitude lives here. It's
A boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up. Yeah, the whole world's invited from the gravel road to the neon dream. She built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling when she hits go live. Everybody feels it.
All right. Welcome back. It's AskABee yet again, the show where the Hive gathers together to look at the wildest stories floating around the internet and ask the one question that everybody thinks, but not everybody wants to say out loud. Who exactly is the asshole here? Yes, so I'm your host, Boss B, and today we've got another stack of situations that are messy, dramatic, and just ridiculous enough to make you stop and say, there is no way this actually happened. And be thankful it didn't happen to you, because after all, it is Thankful Thursday, right? But somehow it happened. Now, if you've been hanging out with the Hive for a little while, you already know how this works. We're not here to scream at people. We're not here to pretend we've all lived perfect lives, okay? We are definitely not here to act like the internet doesn't sometimes just blow things way out of proportion. So what we are here to do is, just listen to the story. Look at the details. Read what the internet has to say about it, and then we decide whether the verdict lands on honey or stinger. So, today's lineup. Oh, baby, we got some chaos in the Hive tonight. We've got family drama, party food scandals, awkward social situations, and at least one moment that had me sitting there staring at the screen like, did that person really just say that out loud? Because, you know what, sometimes these stories, they start simple, right? And then they take a hard left turn into absolute madness. And that's the part that makes these so interesting, because life isn't neat and tidy. And let's just be thankful that it's not this bad. Real people make weird decisions. They say the wrong thing at the worst possible moment. They misunderstand situations. They get emotional. And you know what? Sometimes they accidentally start a full-blown social catastrophe before breakfast. But here's the thing that makes AskABee different from just scrolling through the comment section of the internet. When people pile into those comment threads, it turns into a feeding frenzy real quick sometimes, okay? Everybody wants to be the loudest voice. Everybody wants to deliver the most brutal verdict. And before you know it, nobody's actually talking about the situation anymore. They're just roasting the person who posted it, right? That's not what we do here in the Hive, at least not at first. Sometimes, there's just that one that pisses you right off. So here we slow it down, we walk through the story piece by piece, and we ask the real question. What actually happened here? Because you know what? Sometimes the internet they get it right. Sometimes they don't. Ooh, a bee got some honey. You know what? Bee has honey that lasts forever, and that's fact, Jack. Alrighty. Lay down, dog. Sorry, I have animals. Sometimes, listen, somebody did something so ridiculous that even a jar of honey can't save them, okay? But other times, the story is a lot more complicated than the comments made it sound. Sometimes the person getting dragged online made a mistake, but it wasn't malicious. And you know what? Sometimes expectations weren't clear. Cool, man. I don't care. Awesome. Thanks. Happy to have you. Sometimes people are reacting to embarrassment more than the situation itself. And every once in a while, the internet misses the point completely. You know what happens. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to take these stories one at a time break them down, look at what the commenters had to say, and then decide whether the hive delivers honey or stinger. Trust me when I say this. Today's stories have some twists in them that will, well, you won't see them coming. So settle in, grab your coffee, tea, Dr. Pepper, whichever you prefer. I've got all three. Grab your snacks because this is going to take a minute. And let's see what kind of chaos the internet brought to the hive today. All right, let me load up this first story for you. Don't forget that I do change all names to be safe and protect those who are having a bad day. Let's put it that way. That's a good way to put it, right? All right, I'm going to slide on over. And here we go. Am I the asshole for clearing out my ex-boyfriend's childhood room in the home where he grew up? Well, there's a question. I moved in with my significant other of 2 years after my pay was reduced in February due to everything that's been happening, and it didn't make financial sense for me to live in my own apartment anymore. My significant other asked me to move in with him, so I took up his offer. My significant other is my ex-boyfriend's dad. Wow. Okay, no judging. I'll be good. And I'm now living in the home where my ex-boyfriend grew up. My ex doesn't visit the house at all. Well, that's a good thing. I suggested to my significant other that we should move everything out of my ex's my ex's childhood room. Are you kidding me, lady? Let me use it to store some of my stuff and let me use it as my personal office lounging room. My significant other agreed, so I boxed up everything in my ex-boyfriend's childhood room and moved them to the garage, including the furniture. I've redecorated the room and made it mine. Whoa, lady. Okay. Before I even moved his things, I emailed my ex about this and told him he should come by and take a look at what he wants to keep and or sell and or donate. After not hearing from him for 3 weeks, today he texts me calling me all sorts of names for clearing out and taking his room. I'm really trying to be sensitive and nice here, but he is making this very difficult with his rage-filled outburst and text. Honey, it ain't even mine and I'm upset. Oh my God. So my significant other and I are giving him a year to clear out his childhood stuff. Oh, from the garage before I donate everything. Bitch. What are you talking about? I'm sorry. No, I'm not sorry. Bitch. Neither my significant other, bad dad, nor I feel clearing out his room was inappropriate, but my ex is just melting down in a tantrum-filled rage. Well, bitch, so am I. Why does my ex feel like he owns his childhood room when he doesn't even visit? Childhood. He was there long before you. It is very sad and bizarre. The only okay, calm down. Calm down, B. Calm down, B. Look. This one right here is the kind of situation where you read it and immediately go, oh, this is messy, messy. Not just once. Messy, messy. Let me make sure I've got this straight. Okay? You moved in with your boyfriend, who is the father, okay? His father of your ex-boyfriend. And now you're living in the house where your ex grew up. And you cleared out his childhood bedroom that had been there all this time? and turned it into your little lounge. Oh, baby girl, don't let me find you. Look, that's not just stirring the freaking pot, lady. That's throwing the whole cast iron skillet into the fire and asking why it's sizzling. Now, technically speaking, let's talk facts for a second because the internet loves to run on emotions, but facts still matter. That house belongs to the dad, not the son. A childhood bedroom is not a timeshare property, okay? I get it. It's not a museum exhibit preserved under glass for eternity. No, I get that. But being his ex, you have no right. Bitch, you have no right. That's between him and his father, and you should leave it alone. And the father, well, he just needs to, oh, he needs to apologize to his son. It's obvious his son is never going to come back in that house. But why would he allow her to do that to the son after they've already hurt him in this way? Right? Am I wrong? I mean, because yes, grown adults do not get permanent ownership rights to the room where they once had a Spider-Man poster and a pile of dirty laundry in the corner, okay? But here's the kicker that really makes me lean your direction. You actually told him, you emailed him, you said, hey, come get what you want, decide what you want to keep, sell, donate, whatever. 3 weeks of silence, 3 weeks, okay? That man left you on read long enough. But, you know, sorry. Pardon me, Texas weather, y'all. We have rain today, all week, apparently. Another thing, if I happen to go down, I'm sorry. I'll try to get back. If not, I'll see you tomorrow, I promise. Of course, my allergies are messing with me. You can hear it in my voice. I don't want to lose it. So let's continue and get this over with, right? So now, suddenly he wakes up angry because the room changed. Honey, that's not ownership. That's nostalgia throwing a tantrum. Look, you're all assholes. Okay? You're all assholes. I mean, first off, the son, come on. I don't know how old he is. I don't remember if they even said, but here's the thing. He's old enough to get what he wants out of that stuff, and the rest of it, leave it for his dad to deal with. Should have did that way before. You know? I mean, way before. Apparently, he doesn't live in the house. He hadn't been there in a while. I know I heard that part, right? But you know what? Let's not pretend that this situation isn't awkward enough to make a therapist need a vacation. You are living with your ex's father. I'm not judging you. Yes, I'm judging you a little bit, but not outwardly. I'm not trying to. I'm acknowledging the elephant in the room wearing cowboy boots and chewing gum. And yes, it's pink. Of course, he's emotional about it. You didn't just move the furniture, you moved the symbolism. That room was the last little mental space where he was still the kid of the house. And now it's your she shed. Okay, it's a little office situation with scented candles and throw pillows. That make you feel better? That doesn't mean he gets to come in like a tornado of rage after ignoring the heads up you gave him. You're all assholes, okay? You boxed the stuff, you put it in the garage. Okay, fine. You didn't tear it up. You're giving him a whole year. That's generous to me, I think. Even garage spiders are going to learn his name before the deadline. So, no, I don't think you're the villain here. I don't think You did this. Well, I mean, you are. Come on. It's your ex's dad. But I think your living situation is extremely messy and absolutely complicated. And emotionally weird for everybody involved, especially me at the moment. But the meltdown, and I'm so thankful that I can walk away from this story unhinged, but not hurt by your crazy BS, lady. But look, the meltdown over my childhood room is giving major arrested development energy. Look, sir, that's not your kingdom anymore. You should have got your shit out of there long ass time ago, and you know it. And I'm sorry, I know I'm cussing, but this one pissed me off. The keys to the castle belong to the dad, and dad, you need to step the hell up, man. What the fork is wrong with you? And look, if dad said redecorate, then the high verdict today is honey for clearing the room, but a little stinger for the absolutely wild family tree situation that got us here in the first place. Honestly, no, give me the honey back. You don't deserve it. You don't deserve any of that. Neither of you. None of you do. Okay? Comments. Man. Anybody else out there that pissed off? That is crazy. Okay, first comment. Ha 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 ha. Oh my God, you're the asshole for so many reasons. The way you just gloss over the fact that your significant other, I hate those words, is your ex's dad is pure AITA gold. Thank you for this post. Why are you thinking this? Never mind. Second commenter, I legit had to read the post twice. I did too, to make sure I didn't imagine what I thought I'd read. She used to date a guy, then broke up with him and went on a date with his dad. Like, I have a few choice words, but I'd be probably muted for not being civil. So I'll just end it here. That's probably a good idea. Third commenter. Oh, we got another laugher. Ha 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 ha. Holy shit. I don't care if this is real or fake. I'm laughing my ass off regardless. Could you imagine breaking up with your partner only to start forking their parents? And then, not just that, but deciding to straight up take over the room that they spent their childhood in. Literally boxing up all their old toys and shit. That is the most alpha thing I can think of. Now, you need to marry your ex's dad. Invite him to the wedding, then yell, now you got to call me mommy, bitch. Okie dokie. Look, y'all, the internet completely skipped the room and went straight to the family tree, because the second people heard ex-boyfriend's dad, the whole comment section fell out of their chairs. You know they did. I get it. That plot twist hit everyone like a record scratch, and suddenly nobody cares about the boxes in the garage anymore, right? But the reality is, the house belongs to the dad. The dad said yes. He shouldn't have. He should have dealt with it himself, but he said yes. And she actually warned the guy before touching anything. 3 weeks of silence and then a meltdown later doesn't magically make that bedroom a historical landmark, okay? Come on, it's your childhood room. You're never going back to it anyway. Get your stuff and go. Grow up. The situation might be messy enough to make Thanksgiving awkward forever, but the room itself, that's not his to claim anymore. So move on. Just move on. Okay? That's crazy. All right, we got another story. You know I do. We load this stuff up here. What up? Hello, the wild side. How you doing? Cool. Quit, dog. You're shaking me all over the place over here. Yes, I'm sitting close to my dog. Okay. Let me pull up the next panel. After I load up the next, there we go. Yes, yes, yes. Here we go. Am I the a-hole for not making extra pancakes for my niece? Good. And what about you? I'm doing great, thanks. Doing pretty good. Thanks for asking. Okay. So I woke up at 5 a.m. craving pancakes while on vacation with my in laws. So I decided to quickly move or make myself and my son some, uh, since we were the only ones awake beside my husband, who doesn't eat pancakes. My sister in law's daughter came downstairs just as my son was finishing up and started crying because there were no more pancakes for her. I did try to comfort her, but I have really bad morning sickness after I eat, and I was starting to feel sick. So I had to take her to her parents who were still sleeping. Long story short, my sister in law was upset I only made pancakes for myself and my son when there were others in the house who also needed to eat breakfast. Oh, thank you for me and my first like. That's amazing. I appreciate that. So she said I was selfish and I should have known my niece would have wanted some too. So I could have made extra. I could have made extra just in case. Am I the a-hole? Yeah, you could have made extra. I mean, you knew she was there, right? Look, now this one right here is a perfect example of how simple moments turn into a full-blown family drama before the coffee even finishes brewing. Okay, let me paint the scene. It's 5 in the morning. The house is quiet. The birds aren't even fully committed to being awake yet either. And you're over there with pregnancy morning sickness, trying to survive the day one pancake at a time. You made a small batch for yourself and your kid because that's who was awake. That's it. Okay, this is not a brunch buffet. This was not a continental breakfast at the Holiday Inn. This was a quiet little survival mission happening before the rest of the house even rolled over in their sleep. And then suddenly your niece appears out of nowhere like the pancake police, sees the empty plate, and we have tears, emotions, and now somehow you're being accused of running a discriminatory breakfast operation, right? Yes, this is my channel. If you're talking about BBTV, the Iron Sharpening Iron Universe is my is a sister channel, but BBTV is my personal. Okay, so um, goodness. Now, I feel for the kid, okay, because little kids see food and they want food that's just normal kid behavior, right? But the adults turning this into a morality issue, that's where I start raising an eyebrow, because if you are asleep at 5 in the morning while someone else is cooking in the kitchen, you don't get to wake up later and conduct a full investigation into why they didn't prepare a neighborhood wide pancake census before turning on the stove, right? Nobody expects any or someone to, battling morning sickness to stand there flipping flapjacks for the entire extended family just in case somebody wanders downstairs like a sleepy raccoon looking for syrup. So the fact that you still tried to comfort the kid before running off to deal with the nausea tells me you weren't being cold about it. You were just, physically done for the moment. Now, look, could extra pancakes have avoided the meltdown? Sure, sure. Hi, Patty friend. How are you, doll? I missed you. But listen, hindsight is always real generous after the syrup has already been spilled. You were cooking for who was awake. You were feeling sick. You're pregnant. You know what? And a pregnant woman with those hormones, I think you handled it perfectly. And shouldn't her parents get up and take care of her, knowing that you have a child and you're pregnant with a child on the way? We all know pregnant women have issues with all kinds of stuff, okay? And that's not judgment, that's facts. But she's feeling sick. You handled the situation back to the parents or handed it back to them, right? That's their problem, not yours. That's where the child belongs. So no, this isn't selfishness. This is just early morning survival mode colliding with family expectations that nobody communicated ahead of time, right? So my verdict is definitely honey for Miss Preggers here. If the household wanted a full pancake distribution program at dawn, somebody else could have volunteered for the griddle shift, right? My goodness. All right, comments. You're the a-hole. My question is, how did you manage to only make pancakes for 2 people? Ah, here's a different perspective. Whenever I make them, I can easily feed 6 kids. You know, I can't say that that's not true. And I do feel like she could have made some extras. And I'm sorry. How I like the question. How can you make pancakes for just 2 people? I can never do that. It's 3 or more. Seriously. And honestly, I have 3 children. So it was quite more than that a long time ago. So I'm used to my father-in-law used to tell me cooking for Cox's Army. And let me tell you, I'm used to cooking for Cox's Army. He actually did, but you know. Okay, second commenter. This was my exact question. Okay, see, everybody's got a question. I've been making pancakes since I was 12, and every recipe makes enough for like 4 lumberjacks. Agreed. Third commenter. Seriously, nobody in my house is up for the day before 8:30. I can't say that here. If I woke up at 5 and made a couple of pancakes, it would be on the same level as making a midnight snack. Uh-huh. That's a good perspective too. Imagine someone waking up and getting pissed you didn't prepare them a plate of olives and cheese, and original poster is pregnant, got morning sickness, and was going right back to bed. How the hell is she an asshole here? Not to mention, I make pancakes from a box. Just add water, so it's very easy to make a tiny batch of batter for only me and my brother. I do it all the time. Well, there you go. Sounds like she understood the assignment. You are right. Lots of pancakes is always the nice thing to do. Exactly. I mean, it's just common courtesy. If you've got other people in your house, just make a few extra. You don't have to do the continental breakfast. You don't have to be IHOP. But be courteous. I mean, I would. And let me tell you, here's my issue with this thing. She says that the morning sickness is bad after she eats. Finish cooking before you sit down and eat, then there's plenty for somebody else, and you can have your morning sickness time. I mean, it's not like it's not manageable. It truly is. It's manageable. I've had 3 kids. So this is where the internet gets a little bit hilarious to me, because half the comment section is over here acting like, a pancake recipe automatically feeds a construction crew, which in most cases, yes, that's true. But they did that for a reason, because as soon as it runs out, you have to go buy more. There's a hidden agenda here, right? Y'all, not everyone is standing there mixing a gallon of batter like they're opening a diner. Some people make a tiny batch. Yes, they do have like Bisquick. All you have to do is add water. You don't need eggs or oil or anything like that. You just add water and it's done. And I'm sorry, if you have to measure all that stuff out, fine. But there's measurements on the box. It's easy. Easy, easy. Make a tiny batch, especially at 5 in the morning. They're not very good unless they're fresh anyway. Everybody's half awake and trying not to throw up because pregnancy is doing backflips in their stomach. But you're telling me this, and you're saying this is what happens after you eat. So I don't know. This wasn't Sunday brunch for the entire household. This was basically a quiet little snack situation before anyone else was even up. If someone wakes up later and is mad you didn't predict their breakfast or their breakfast craving hours in advance, that's not a pancake problem. That's an expectation problem, don't you think? Anyway, it's break time. I'll play this pretty little song. I shall return.
She came from the quiet storms, built a fire from the ground, turned a whisper to a warning. Now her voice shakes the town. Every setback was a lesson, every doubt became a key, unlocking something bigger. That's the rise of Boss Bee. When the lights go low, her vision hits high. She built a whole damn network off a promise and a try. Every sunrise, every moment, she's stacking legacy. This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV. Boss Bee rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss Bee rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's the queen of the comeback, the storm in the stream, crafting stories out of heartbeats, making visions out of dreams. Got thunder in the hustle, got a voice that cuts clean. Every mic she touches turns the power unseen. So let brothers spin the numbers, let the views rise slow or fast. Boss Bee doesn't measure wins by echoes of the past. This moment is a pivot, this season's history. Bow down to the founder of the BBTV dynasty. Boss Bee rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss Bee rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. She's got fire in the head, it's got truth in the frame, got a heart that won't retire and a gift you can't name. Every loop, every letter, every dream she sets free, it's a love note to the world sign. Boss Bee. And the world keeps watching as the numbers climb, but she's counting all the moments, not the dollar signs. From the late night grind to the daylight scene, she's building something bigger than the algorithm's dream. Boss Bee rising, BBTV shining. Her story's rewriting a legacy in real time. Boss Bee rising, BBTV's igniting. Turn the volume up, yeah, the whole world's invited. From the gravel roads to the neon dreams, she built an empire out of broken wings. Boss Bee rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it. BBTV, where the stories breathe. BBTV, where the dreamers believe. Boss Bee rising, watch her take her place. This is BBTV, this is her grace.
We are back, and my internet is going crazy right now. Lucky me. We do still have some stories, and I'm going to keep going, though. This weather is crazy, y'all. All right, let's see here. Nope, back up here. All right. Am I the a-hole because I ate more than my share of a 6 foot party sub last night? Alrighty. What I thought would be a total non-issue has ballooned into a huge problem, and I'm up at 7:05 a.m. dealing with it. I figured while I waited for a text, I would post here to see if what I did was really that bad. I'm a big fat ass. That's not nice. There's no way around it. I love to eat, which probably borders on addiction, but I figure since I'm only hurting myself, it's probably better to just live my life. Not true, sir. I have some great friends, although there is no doubt I'm the harmless, funny token fat guy. Of the otherwise pretty good looking group, I guess that sets the stage enough. No, it stages too much, honey. You need a little more self esteem here. Last night, my friend hosted UFC and I was invited. He got a 6 foot party sub. I also brought homemade wings that are sort of my specialty. Well, of course, people flocked to the food, and I had basically one serving of the sandwich, but people devoured my wings, and I didn't get to have any, didn't get to have a single one, which is totally fine. That's why I brought them, but maybe an hour later, I was starving. I kept eyeing the sandwich, and say there was about 3 feet of it left. I waited an hour, then another half an hour, and no one had touched it, but they were still munching on chips, pretzels, and whatnot. So I was like, screw it. I took about half of what was left and ate it. Then the last half sat for another 10, 15 minutes, and no one said anything. So I ate the rest. Okay. Well, to be sure, as I was swallowing the last bite, the host's girlfriend asked where the sandwich was, like I was the guilty party. Pretty much everyone pointed at me. I guess they'd noticed me eating the sandwich. She was furious and said that I was an incredible pig and that I had been super selfish to eat 3 feet of a sandwich. I felt so bad. I tried to explain to her that I really did wait over an hour and thought people had lost interest. I also tried to explain how everyone had ate my wings, and she said something along the lines of, "You brought them to share, Alan. If someone had eaten over half of them themselves, that's not forking sharing it, is it?" Okay. I offered to order pizza or even go get Subways, and she said that it was a pathetic offer because the party sub had been from a local shop owned by her friends. I said I was sorry, but the night was so tense from them then on out. I woke up this morning to several texts from my twin sisters, the host's girlfriends and best friends. Okay, saying that I had to get my shit under control and that everyone is really mad at me and that I embarrassed myself last night. I tried to explain to them what my mindset had been and they haven't responded. Was I the asshole for eating that much of the sandwich last night? Okay, there's an edit before I get into this. Edit. I guess I've been banned from responding, but my inbox has 1,200 notifications, so I can't find out why. To answer what seems to be the most common misconception, this wasn't a Subway party sub, so definitely not 4 times the size of the regular sub. This is a local place, so it's about 1.5 times the width of a regular sub. It's still a ton of food, don't get me wrong, but I can down 5 Subway footlongs in an afternoon easily. This is probably about equivalent to that, not 12 like some people are saying. Wow. Y'all. Okay, buckle up because this one right here, this one went completely off the rails and I was not prepared for the emotional roller coaster that is the great sandwich incident of UFC fight night. So let's walk through this madness together because, first of all, my man starts the story by roasting himself harder than anyone in the comments ever could. He's like, listen, I'm a big fat ass. I love food. It's a whole personality trait at this point. Okay, fine. Self awareness is strong. We appreciate honesty. Then he goes to a friend's house for the fights, which brings homemade wings, which, by the way, everyone demolishes like a pack of hungry wolves, apparently, and he doesn't even get one, not one. Okay, those wings went extinct, gone, history. So already the man contributed to the food economy of the party and got nothing back. Now, fast forward an hour, then another half an hour, and there's still 3 feet of sandwich just sitting there on the table like it's waiting for a museum curator to come study it. Nobody touching it. People are full of wings. They're over there nibbling on chips and pretzels like birds pecking at breadcrumbs simply because they just stuffed themselves with your wings. So eventually, our guy does what every single person watching this right now would at least think about doing. He goes, all right, screw it, and takes half of what's left. Then the other half sits there again. 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Nobody claims it. Nobody guards it. Nobody says, hey, save that. And this man commits what the internet has now labeled a culinary war crime. He eats the rest of the sandwich. Boo hoo. And the second the last bite disappears, like clockwork. Exactly. The host's girlfriend appears like a sandwich ghost investigator asking, where did the sub go? And suddenly the entire room turns into a crime documentary, pointing fingers at Alan like he just robbed Fort Knox. She calls him a pig, says he's selfish for eating 3 feet of a sandwich that's obviously not as big as Subway's. He said so. The room gets tense. The UFC fighters are probably throwing punches in the background while the real fight is happening over deli meat in the living room. And I'm sorry, here's the part where I'm already shaking my head because the man immediately offers solutions. Come on, he says he'll order pizza, go get Subway. He'll replace the food, but no. That's not acceptable because apparently this sandwich came from a sacred local shop owned by her friends like it's the crown jewel of hoagies. So now the man wakes up the next morning to text from his twin sisters, who are also the girlfriend's best friends, telling him he embarrassed himself and needs to get his life together. Oh, I think someone had their eye on the sandwich to take home so they didn't have to cook the next day. You might be right. You might be right. And if that's the case, well, she probably should have put the shit up, right? I'm sorry. These today have got me cussing a little bit, and I sure don't mean to, but damn. A sandwich, people. It's a sandwich. And then we get the edit. The edit is where my brain left my body because the man casually drops the information that people are acting like he ate 12 footlongs when it's really closer to 5. And he says, like, that's a total normal Tuesday activity, okay? 5 footlongs in an afternoon. Sir, this is not a snack. This is a competitive sport. At that point, we're not judging the sandwich incident anymore. We're trying to figure out if your stomach has its own zip code. But here's the thing. Was it a lot of food? Absolutely. Was it a little socially awkward? Sure. But if a party leaves 3 feet of sandwich sitting unattended for almost 2 hours, that thing has legally entered the public domain. Food left alone that long at a UFC watch party becomes community property under the ancient laws of couch goblins and snack gremlins. Okay? The real issue here isn't the sandwich, it's that everyone suddenly decided to perform outrage after the evidence was gone. They were a little rough on him, I think, and jumped on the opportunity to shame him. Exactly my point. Yes, Patty, that is so true. And that's what really makes me mad about this. Calling a guy a pig after he already felt that, that's just unnecessary and childish, if you ask me. So, what do you guys think? I think she deserves a big old stinger right in her big toe. Not even a mild stinger for devouring the entire remaining sub like a vacuum cleaner as with bread attachment. But come on, is that really what you said? Hi, Melody. Hey, good to see you, y'all. This is my family right here. How are you, honey? Okay, so yep, she gets a stinger and gets some honey for trying to make amends. There you go. Yep, I like that. I like that, Patty. That's perfect. Yep. I mean, come on. Yeah, he probably shouldn't have eaten all that. Maybe he should have asked, right? Hey, Bee's family. I'm sorry. Here we go. This is my family right here. She's on Facebook watching me right now. I'm sorry, Patty. You can't see it unless I bring it up. See? Hey, Bee's family. This is one of my beautiful aunts. She's my auntie. I love you. Tell Judy I love her too. That's my other auntie. Okay, so wow. What a great surprise. Okay, so there are some comments on here too. They're pretty good, I think. Let's see here. I have to pull that one up. There was some big comments, so I have to change the pace and everything. Okay, here we go. And panel 8. I love you most. Haha, gotcha. I love you both. The bestest aunties ever. All right, here's what their first commenter says. You're the asshole. Eat before you go to a party so you don't do that again. Rude. I'm also a heavy eater. I'd never even consider eating that much of something at a party or get together. Letting it sit for an hour doesn't mean anything. Others might have just been waiting to grab it after the fight. You said in a comment you polished it off during the fight. The wings proved the point. You were bummed that others ate all the wings and you didn't get a chance to have any, just like the people complaining about the sandwich they brought. Okay, I'm going to try and be nice with this one because I think this commenter needs me to jump through the screen and knock them out. But we're not going to do that, obviously. No. I hear what the commenter's saying, okay? And there is a fair point buried in under all the judgment. At a party, shared food is kind of sacred territory because, people assume it'll still be there later, especially during something like a UFC fight where folks grab food between fights. And, lots of them usually have their alcohol. And, as soon as you eat something, that wonderful little buzz that you've worked up since you got there, yeah, it kind of goes in the trash, don't it? So, yeah, devouring 3 feet of remaining sandwich during the action probably caught people off guard. But here's the flip side nobody is talking about. The man brought wings that everyone else completely wiped out even before the fight started, right? And he didn't get one, not one, of his own food. They went crazy. So the whole sharing standard was already broken before the sandwich ever entered the chat, right? So while maybe the move wasn't the most socially graceful, acting like he committed the crime of the century over a leftover sub is a little dramatic too, don't you think? No, a lot dramatic. And come on, y'all grow up and quit shaming this man. Patty says, doing that. Here, I'm going to pull this up so I can see it better. Dang, that is a lot of worrying about people, what people think, how much you are supposed to eat and eating before you get there. Sheesh, sounds exhausting. I would stay home next time. Amen, sis. Amen. Amen to that. Because let me tell you something. That's half the reason I don't go, is because I don't want to be in the middle of something that's going to go sideways, right? And I'm sorry, things like that have a tendency to go sideways, especially if you add a little alcohol to the mix, right? Okay, so second commenter. Let me pull that panel up. Duh. I'm here. I got this. Okay. So the second commenter says, others might have just been waiting to grab it after the first, or after the fight. Yeah, they were there for an event and were probably focused on that event. I have hosted Super Bowl parties where food goes untouched for hours before people get up to get more. Eating 3 to 4 feet of a sub is an asshole move. That's more than having more than his share. We ordered a 6-foot sub last Friday because my son had about 20 to 25. I lost count people over for his birthday party. Even the teens knew the supplement on watermelon and potato chips after they had some of the sub. I have seen some of them eat before, and I have no doubts a few could have demolished the sub by themselves, but they didn't, even though there was a foot or so sitting around while they swam, played basketball, jumped the trampoline. Okay, so I see the logic here, because a big event, there's lots of people, and they do exactly that. They watch the game, the fight, whatever's going on, and then between rounds, everybody suddenly remembers food exists, and the table gets rushed like it's Black Friday. So yeah, in hindsight, eating 3 or 4 feet of the sub during the action probably surprised everyone who thought it would still be sitting there later. But let's also not pretend teenagers at a birthday party politely grazing watermelon is the same environment as a late night UFC watch party with grown-ass adults and wings disappearing like they were never born. Look, context matters, and while it might not have been the most graceful move, the sandwich sitting untouched that long was basically sending mixed signals to a hungry man. It has nothing to do with his weight, really. He was just hungry because he didn't have anything else. Because everybody else ate it, right? Look, that is messed up if you ask me. And the way they treated him after the fact is even worse. I'm going to give you my opinion. I think what they did, the reason they did that is because they really didn't want him there. They were just doing it because they felt sorry for him. And that is the worst kind of friend you can have. So let me tell you, if you're a friend of mine and it's just because you feel sorry for me, well, first off, don't, because I am happy living my life. And the second, bye. Just bye. You're not worth my time. Nope. Don't talk to me like that. No. Okay, we got a third commenter here. Hope this one's better. If you waited an hour and no one ate any of this sandwich, the next step would have been to ask the group, hey guys, cool if I get a second serving of the sandwich since, y'all ate all my food. Wasn't sure if people were still eating it or not, and also maybe take a 6-inch portion, not an 18-inch, as one serving to me. It's a courtesy issue as well as eating issue. Okay, first off, let me say something. You can absolutely call out the courtesy issue here, but do not call this man's weight. That's my point here. So this one, I can actually get behind it a little bit, because the easiest move in the world, it would have been to the classic, ask a question. Hey, is anybody still eating this? Announcement to the room before going full vacuum cleaner on the sandwich. That's just basic party etiquette. Okay. We get that part. But at the same time, when food sits untouched for over an hour at a fight night, most people are going to assume interest has expired. So, yeah, asking first would have saved a lot of drama, I'm sure. But the silent sandwich sitting there for that long was definitely sending some confusing signals, too. And I'm sorry, come on, y'all. You ate all the man's food that he brought. And if he's self proclaimed a big guy, he didn't just bring a dozen wings, right? He probably brought what he knew he could have some and share too. That's the point. Mm, mm. This ain't about his weight. This is about rudeness. Let me put that out there because that was rude. That was damn rude. All right, let's move on to the last story. Oh, this one's fun, you guys. I have a surprise ending. Am I the a-hole for telling a funny story at a wedding about the bride? This happened a couple of weeks ago, but I am still reeling from it and want to know if I was being an asshole. Me, 30 male, and my friend, 30 female, who I'll call Colleen, have known each other since we were kids. Her family is deeply Catholic, but she isn't nearly as religious. Important later. Years ago, she met a guy. I'll call him Mike. I changed the names. His name was not Mike either, or not whatever it was before. And they became committed. That's my, I'm sorry. I know I keep stopping. That's my disclosure. I have to say that. So I met him and got along great with him. And the three of us hung out a lot. So he proposed and they held a big wedding. The actual wedding came and went. And at the reception afterwards, some of us were giving speeches. I went up and told them how happy I was for them and decided to tell the audience about some of our experiences in college together. No, don't do it. Don't do it. So to summarize my speech, it went something like this. When me and Colleen went to college together, Colleen let loose and changed completely from her days at Catholic school. But then she met Mike, and it seemed like he calmed her down. I am happy for them and wish them success. The audience, for the most part, was laughing throughout my speech and seemed to enjoy it. And given how me, Colleen, and Mike hung out a lot, how we all have a crude sense of humor, I thought they would appreciate it. I didn't realize this was a big deal until later on in the wedding. I went up to the table Colleen's parents were sitting at, but they shunned me away very quickly. I went up to Colleen and Mike to ask them if her parents were okay. They immediately told me, we need to talk. They took me into the back of the venue and asked me about the speech. I told them that most people enjoyed it and they should understand college is a time for going a little crazy and figuring yourself out. Colleen yelled at me and said I had no right. She was screaming so hard that Mike had to calm her down. She ended up leaving and Mike said, look, it was a funny story, but try to keep it between us three next time. Since I've tried texting Colleen back, but she blocked me everywhere. Mike hasn't been responding either. Given that most people in the audience enjoyed it and probably forgot about it now, I don't know why this is a big deal. Okay. So you can clearly see that, it doesn't seem like it should be that big of a deal, right? Buckle up, because this one right here is a masterclass in how to accidentally turn a wedding toast into a full-blown social catastrophe without realizing it until the cake is already being cut. So our guy walks into the reception thinking he's about to deliver a heartfelt, funny little story about his longtime friend, Colleen. They've known each other since they were kids. They went to college together. They partied together. They've got that whole we've survived our early 20s friendship vibe, right? in his mind, he's about to give the classic roast style speech. Little bit of nostalgia, a little bit of teasing. Wrap it up with, look how love fixed everything. Standard wedding speech formula, right? Wrong. No. Because what he actually did, without realizing it, was stand up in front of a room full of deeply Catholic family members and basically announce to the entire congregation that the bride used to be a wild college party goblin before the groom came along to calm her down. I know it doesn't seem like that bad, but okay. Now, the college friends are laughing because they know the stories, right? Mike, the groom, probably chuckled because he's heard them before. But the parents, oh hell, the parents are sitting there watching their daughter's carefully constructed good Catholic girl wedding day image get drop kicked into the punch bowl in front of relatives, church friends, grandma, Father Michael from the parish, everybody. That's not just a funny anecdote, okay? In that environment, no, that's a public biography rewrite. And the worst part is our guy thinks the laughter means everything landed perfectly. Meanwhile, the parents are over there staring like someone just lit the family Bible on fire, right? Then comes the backstage moment, the classic "we need to talk." And when a bride says that on her wedding day, you already know the storm clouds are forming. No, they're already there. They're standing right above your head, right? Colleen is furious because this isn't just about a joke. It's about control of the narrative. Weddings are basically the most carefully choreographed public performance people ever do in their lives. The dress, the vows, the speech, the whole. This is who we are as a couple presentation. And our man grabbed the microphone and accidentally added a deleted chapter from the college chaos years that she very clearly did not want broadcasted to the extended family. So now friendships are freezing over, right? Texts are going unanswered, and he's standing there confused because technically the room laughed, and technically the story wasn't a lie. But weddings aren't truth tribunals, are they? They're image management ceremonies, okay? And by image, I mean your image, your persona, your reputation. And then, okay, then we get the edits, the classic internet edit that shows up when someone posts their story expecting validation. Instead, they get roasted like a Thanksgiving turkey. Suddenly, it's, well, actually, Colleen wasn't that wild. And, people are misunderstanding what I meant. And it was just a harmless phase. Oh, no. Now, we're adjusting the details because the comments section started dragging you like a suitcase through an airport parking lot, right? That edit tells me everything I need to know. Because if you have to jump back in and soften the story after the internet reads it, come on, imagine how it sounded echoing through a wedding reception microphone. So the Hive verdict here, stinger. Okay, not because you meant harm, not because the story was evil, but because a wedding toast is the one moment where you do not test the remember. Pardon me, dog, stop. He's shaking me everywhere. 95-pound dog right here. It's not the moment where you test the remember when the bride was crazy in college. Okay, that material is gone. Let it be. That is private group chat humor, not microphone in front of grandma humor. And my friends, the second the parents heard it, that friendship clock started ticking down to midnight. Let me tell you. Stinger for being a dumbass. You got it, girl. Right. I agree. But this story, is not over because we do have comments. The surprise ending is not even there yet. I promise you. Okay, let me load this stuff up. Alrighty, first commenter. You're the asshole. Imagine that. Interesting how you changed the positive to remove the vulgar details you originally included. Uh-oh. What's this? Big time asshole, and you seem to understand that including those details is what made you the asshole, or you wouldn't have deleted them. There's something at play here, I think. Have some tact. Making a vague joke about wild college days, questionable, but probably fine. Explicitly referencing particular relations acts and the frequency of her relations activity, never in a million years, right? All right, second commenter. Oh my God, you're the asshole. That what happens in college stays in college. Of course, the crowd was laughing at your friend, except there was no joke. They haven't forgotten about it. Every time they see your friend and Mike, they remember your story. I'd consider this friendship dead. I'd never forgive you for humiliating me like that on my big day. So don't hold your breath waiting for them to contact you. Third commenter. They edited to get rid of the line. She jumped every guy that moved and was getting spit roasted. Huh. Okay. Hold on. Wait a minute. This story took a turn the second we got to the comment section. And suddenly the whole situation makes a lot more sense. At first, when you hear the speech as it was written, it sounds like a pretty standard wedding toast mistake, and not a big one. Somebody tells a remember college story. The college friends laugh, the family gets uncomfortable, and the bride is furious because you accidentally aired out all her shit from her past in front of the entire extended family. Look, that alone is already a bad move because weddings are not the time to test out roast comedy about the bride's former party lifestyle, okay? But at that stage, it still sounds like a clumsy, awkward mistake. Something where you'd say, yeah, that was dumb. I should have kept that story between friends. But then the commenters start noticing something weird. The post gets edited. Lines disappear. Details that were originally there are suddenly gone. And that's when the story stops looking like a harmless, haha, college was wild moment and starts looking like a full blown microphone catastrophe, right? Because according to multiple people who saw the original version, the speech didn't just vaguely mention wild college days. Oh no. The original version apparently included explicit relation details about the bride, specific behavior, specific frequency, the kind of stuff that absolutely does not belong in wedding speech unless your goal is to make the priest faint. And the bride's parent, they're going to start pricing bail money. Girl, you need to go live on TikTok and start making money. You are good at this. Guess what? I make money right here too. I'm trying to get myself into TikTok. I am. I really am. I promise. Thank you. I'm so glad. I appreciate that, Melody. Thank you. I love you, honey. I love you so much. I miss you. Okay. So then we get to the final comment that drops the bombshell. The line that was apparently removed was the bride jumped every guy that moved and was getting spit roasted. Sir, that is not a funny college anecdote. Okay, that is a nuclear warhead of a sentence to drop in front of grandparents. We're going to have to make some arrangements, Melody. I need to see you and Judy. I really do. I miss y'all so much. And in light of who we've lost recently, I think we just all really need to hug each other. I really do. Okay, so mm, that is not teasing. Okay, that is not storytelling. That is grabbing a microphone at a sacred ceremony and detonating the bride's reputation in front of 200 witnesses. Of course, the room laughed. People laugh when something is so wildly inappropriate, their brains short circuit. Okay, but laughter does not mean approval. Sometimes it means the entire room is trying to process what just happened. And the edit, oh my gosh, the edit is the real tell. Because if the story was truly harmless, those lines wouldn't have mysteriously vanished after people started calling you out. Yes, me too. We'll have to figure that one out. I don't have a car right now. Having a hard time right now, but such is life. I'll get one soon, I hope. I've been saying that for a year, but yeah. I'll come see as soon as I get a vehicle. When that happens, I have no clue. Sorry. Just to be transparent, when those two hurricanes hit Florida, well, my son is in Beverly Hills, Florida, and if you can look at a map and see that it is right in that armpit, so that he's kind of like right in the middle of both of those hurricanes that hit. And well, they weren't getting very much help, so we had to sell our vehicle to help them out. Let's just put it that way. It's not exactly how it happened, but we got a loan and then we couldn't pay it. And that stuff happens. Your kids are more important. And my son and my daughter-in-law needed to be taken care of. So anyway, let me finish this up because I just got off on a totally different one, didn't I? Okay, let me find my notes and see what I'm looking at here. Okay, the moment you scrub the explicit parts to make speech sound softer, you're basically confirming that you knew exactly why people were angry. You didn't just embarrass your friend. You broadcast explicit details of her relations life at her own wedding reception. So yeah, the verdict on this one is a massive stinger, but not because the wedding joke went wrong, but because the version you told the internet is a cleaned up director's cut. And the original script that you apparently read into that microphone was absolute chaos. So I have something for you here. This is the surprise. Apparently, the story was written, published, and then somebody got roasted, so they edited it so they wouldn't get roasted anymore. But it turns out they still got roasted, huh? So edited for the original poster's attempt to mislead after getting roasted. This is the part that they edited in the original post that I read first. So to summarize my speech, it went something like, when me and Colleen went to college together, Colleen was no longer that quiet Catholic girl. She became wild and humped every guy that moved and let multiple guys spit roast her. But after she met Mike, it seemed like he tamed her and made her into a better person that sits before us today. Can you believe that shit? Sorry, not sorry. Now we have to talk about the real version of this speech, because the internet detectives pulled the receipts and suddenly, that's me, suddenly the whole story makes a lot more sense, doesn't it? At first, the guy framed it like he just said Colleen let loose in college, and then Mike came along and calmed her down. That sounds like a dumb wedding toast, but maybe survivable. Maybe a little embarrassing, maybe something you apologize for later. But then the commenters start pointing out that the post was edited, details removed, wording softened, and now we see what the original line actually was. And y'all, this man didn't hint at wild college days. He stood up at a wedding reception and said the bride humped every guy that moved and let multiple guys spit roast her at her wedding in front of her parents, her Catholic parents, Catholic grandparents, church friends, possibly the priest who married them 5 minutes earlier. That is not a joke. That is a social nuclear detonation wrapped in a champagne toast. There are some things that exist strictly in the friends group at 2 a.m. remembering college stories category. They do not cross the invisible force field into microphone at a wedding reception territory. No. Weddings are the one day where the bride gets to present the polished, romantic, fairy tale version of her life story. And this guy grabbed the mic and rewrote it in an episode of late night cable television. Of course, the parents shunned him. Of course, the bride exploded. Of course, he blocked everywhere. That kind of line doesn't just embarrass someone for 5 minutes, it lives in people's memory forever. Yes, we want to remember our wedding days. You know we do, but not like this. That sounds like unresolved anger and jealousy. What an a-hole. Amen, Patty friend. So true. Every time a relative thinks about that wedding, they're going to remember that speech. And the edit afterwards, that's the cherry on top. Because if you truly believed your speech was harmless, you wouldn't go back and scrub the explicit parts of the story after the internet started roasting you. That tells everyone exactly what happened. The original version made you look like a complete disaster. So you tried to rewrite history instead of rewriting yourself. Really? The internet never forgets, buddy. And somebody always screenshots chaos. I mean, after all, I found it. Yeah. So, what's your verdict on this one? Because I'm going to say stinger. Pardon me. Not because you made a slightly awkward joke, but because, oh my God, you turned a wedding toast into the most uncomfortable family meeting of the decade. My friend, there are lines between you don't cross at weddings. And broadcasting the bride's explicit college relational life into a microphone is about, wow, 10 miles past that line, buddy. Seriously. My goodness, you need to let that go, buddy. You need to let that go. Wow, an hour and 20 minutes on this one. That's okay. That's okay. I like it when I get to stay a little longer. All right, come on now. Of course it did that. Sorry, trying to load up this last little bit because we are definitely done with the stories, but we're going to talk just another second. That is going to wrap up today's show, but AskABee, and I have to say, the internet really showed up with this one. The chaos, okay, is amazing. I love my messy. I love my messy. From awkward social disasters to family drama to situations that escalate way further than anyone expected. Today was a perfect reminder that real life can get messy and really fast. Honestly, that's why these stories are so fascinating, because every single one of them starts with somebody thinking they're doing something totally normal, and then suddenly they're standing in the middle of a situation wondering, hey, how everything spiraled out of control. And it did. And that's the one thing I always try to remind people. When we read these stories together, the internet loves to turn everything into a simple verdict. You're either completely right or you're completely wrong, right? Correct? You're either the hero or the villain. How's that? honey or stinger and nothing in between. But real life usually isn't that simple. And I think we all know that. Most of the time, these situations are a mix of misunderstandings and emotions, assumptions, and timing that just happen to collide in the worst possible way. People say things they shouldn't say. They make decisions without thinking through how others might feel about it. And you know what? Sometimes they realize a little too late that a small moment just turned into a very big problem. That's why I love hearing what the Hive thinks about these situations, because every single one of the you brings your own perspective, your own life experiences, and your sense of fairness into the conversation. Some of you see the story one way, others see it completely different. Somewhere in the middle of all those opinions, we usually land on a pretty interesting discussion about how people treat each other and what we expect from the people around us. So before I head out, I want to hear from you. Which story had you shaking your head the most? Which verdict do you agree with? And which one do you think the Hive might have gotten wrong? And please, y'all, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out a lot. That's how I make my money here, right? Get on YouTube if you're not. Get in there with me. So drop your thoughts down in the comments, again, like I said, and let the Hive know where you land on honey or stinger scale. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that button. And you know what? If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe too. Also, memberships are back. Y'all can become a member. That's the best way to support this channel. Now, I do want to reiterate that if you are watching this from the Iron Sharpening Iron universe, I thank you for that, because Big Jack and I, we are a team, and we are making our team much, much bigger. We are networking. We are putting everyone we possibly can under the umbrella to get things to the point where they're monetized or they're just getting their message out. And that's what we want to do to help you. So you give us a little email, let us know, leave a message in the comments. We'll get to you and we'll help you get through that. Don't forget that we have 2 nights a month, Grow and Glow Academy, where Big Jack and I are teaching how to get your own channel started. And to remind everybody, we're doing this for 1 year. If you show up and let us know that you've showed up and you understand what's going on and you can definitely have your own channel, and we might just give it to you. We are building one channel for general purposes to teach, right? And at the end of a year, when it doesn't matter how that channel is, it could either be monetized or not, which probably will be, because Boss B's producing this, and y'all know how good I am. And whoever we pick will get to have this and make it yours. We're doing as much as we would do for our own, just so that we can teach you. So y'all get back over here next Wednesday, okay? The internet never runs out of stories, and as long as people keep making questionable decisions online, AskABee will be here to talk about it, for sure. Until next time, take care of each other, though. Keep your sense of humor about life's little disasters, and remember, before you post your drama on the internet, ask yourself one question. Are you ready for the Hive to decide whether it's honey or stinger, huh? All right, you guys, get over to Tuber Chat for me, would you? I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow. Buzz you later.
I want to take a minute to shout out Tuber Chat. If you're a creator who's tired of surface-level advice, and actually wants to understand how YouTube works, that's the space. It's real conversations with real creators who are in the trenches, building channels, testing ideas. No posturing, no gatekeeping, no fake guru energy, just people sharing what's working, what isn't, and why.
If you're serious about growing, learning, and not doing this alone, check out Tuber Chat. The link is in the description. If you're enjoying this show, subscribing is the easiest way to support what's being built here on BBTV. You'll see the join button right next to subscribe. No pressure, no expectations, just an option for people who want to support the channel in a real way. We're live every day at 3 p.m. Central now. And don't worry, we didn't change the heat, just the clock. And if you've got a story you want to share, send it in. Anonymous is always fine.
Boss be right.